What's up, guys? It's Xander here, back with another video. Today, I want to talk about George Floyd and the climate of the country, and just how I'm feeling right now, as a black man in the country, as an African American in general. To be completely honest, I'm exhausted. I'm tired. I am restless. I didn't sleep last night. I'm at a loss for words, because here we are yet again with another instance of reckless police brutality. Another innocent black man was killed unnecessarily at the hands of police. And I decided to make this video twofold. One, just because I wanted to share my thoughts with you guys, but also because I wanted to hopefully educate some of you, because the amount of ignorance that I have seen in response to everything that's going on surrounding the George Floyd situation, even from my own, what I would call friends, former, it's just astounding to me. George Floyd was killed senselessly by the police. The cops kneeled really on his neck, even though he pled, said he couldn't breathe multiple times. The man even cried out for his mother, who hadn't been alive for years. And yet, didn't stop the officers from killing him. And people don't understand what's happening in Minneapolis. People don't understand why there's rioting. People don't understand why people keep saying Black Lives Matter. And at this point, I'm sick of it. So let's get into it. In 2020, if you don't understand that this country, the United States of America, was built off the backs of black people, if you don't understand that this country has racism embedded in its DNA, then I'm convinced that you don't understand anything. If you don't get that black skin, brown skin has been criminalized and demonized in this country, you're not trying to get it. There's a wealth of information out there. There is so much statistical proof. There's so much evidence out there. To be completely honest, you could ask your grandparents, because I'm sure they could tell you. Racism is built into the DNA of this country. And police brutality is a thing. White privilege is a thing. It is very real, and it exists. And at this point, I am sick of seeing, well, all lives matter, and, well, why don't you do this, and why don't you do this? So first and foremost, what I want to say is I'm black. My mother's black. My brother's black. My sisters are black. My grandparents are black. And so when this thing is over, and it's not a hashtag at the moment, and the headlines die down like they always do, I'm still going to be black, and I'm still going to have to navigate this world in my black body. So do not tell me how to feel about police brutality. Do not tell me how to feel about the injustices that us black people see day in and day out in this country and in the world. Absolutely unacceptable. If you don't get in 2020 that we still deal with systemic racism, systemic oppression, if you don't understand that, you're not trying to. If you don't get that, if you don't see that, you're not looking. You're not. And I'm tired of it. There are several statistics out there that state that black people, despite making up a smaller part of the community, are 2.5 times more likely to be arrested, jailed by cops. When you look at the percentage of black people in the country versus the percentage of black males in the jail system, ridiculousness. Absolute bonkers. George Floyd is a prime example of the fact that we as a country have a long way to go. Not only because the cops who did it haven't been charged yet, not only because the protests were met with tear gas and riot gear, not only because the president has, chosen to just completely glide over that topic, but because there are so many people out there who just simply do not understand or aren't trying to understand what we as a people are going through. Why we as black people are saying we are tired. Why we as black people are saying Black Lives Matter. When we peacefully protest, like Colin Kaepernick did, we're told, you can't do that. That's disrespecting our country. We get blackballed. We get, told we can't work. Headlines say that we're America haters, anti-police. When we speak up peacefully, we're met with hate. When we protest, when we march, we are met with tear gas. We're met with rioting gear. In Minneapolis, there was a peaceful protest first, but they were met with tear gas. They were met with riot gear. Despite 2 weeks prior, people protesting, white people protesting, with AR-15s, armed, they weren't met with riot gear. They weren't met with the same force that the peaceful black protesters were. That's frustrating. People are asking, well, what is rioting going to solve? It got your attention, didn't it? Because nothing else seems to. As Martin Luther King said, rioting is the voice of the unheard. America isn't hearing us. And if they are, they don't care. And that's a problem. And for those of you like myself who have white friends, if they're not speaking up, they're not your friends. Privilege exists. White privilege is a thing. It definitely exists. It's very real. And if you don't understand what white privilege is, I'll try to explain it like this. That's not to say that you haven't had a hard life, but it basically means that your skin color has not been a reason for your hard life. Your skin color doesn't make you more likely to be murdered by cops. It doesn't make you more likely to fill the jail cells. Your skin color hasn't been criminalized and demonized in this country. Privilege exists. And if you have white friends that are not speaking up and that don't understand at this point that white privilege is a thing, I got news for you. They're not your friends. They should want to speak up. They should want to speak out. They should want to help us here. Plain and simple. I had a friend tell me, you need to remove the emotion from this and look at it logically and objectively. How can I look at it logically and objectively when my people are being killed senselessly every single day? And for those of you that are talking about, I hear people say, well, what about black on black crime? Black on black crime is a myth. That term was coined to make black people seem inherently evil. Crime happens inside cultures, inside communities every day. Every day. All cultures, all races, all communities, crime happens. If you have a predominantly white community, guess what? The crimes that happen there, they're white on white. Chinese, Japanese, Asian culture in general, crime happens. And guess what? It's perpetuated by Japanese, Chinese, Asians in general. The term black on black crime is just crime. The same kind of crime that happens in every part of the world. So that term was used to make us seem inherently evil. Another example of a tool used to criminalize and demonize us. So if you hear that, well, what about black people that are killing each other? That invalid. And if you think that the people that are screaming Black Lives Matter aren't worried about the crime that we see in our community, you're just ignorant. You're not kept abreast of the facts. We care about black lives. We care about our lives. But don't try to be so arrogant as to tell us what we need to fix in our community when you are the oppressor. So I'll say it again. If you have white friends that are not speaking up, that are not trying to understand, they're not your friends. If you have white friends, or if you happen to be a person who's white viewing this and you want to help, use your privilege to help us. Use your privilege to be out there protesting with us. Use your privilege to speak up. Use your privilege to educate. That's how you help. Saying you don't understand why we're rioting, why we're looting, that's no longer acceptable. Because if you don't understand at this point, you haven't been trying to. So if you want to help, use your privilege to help us. Plain and simple. In 2020, there's no reason why people don't understand what the Black Lives Matter movement is about. In 2020, if they're telling you they don't get it, if 2020 they're not seeing your perspective, they don't care. Plain and simple. But we as black people are tired. We're exhausted. So when you tell us that we shouldn't be rioting and we shouldn't be looting and we shouldn't be doing this and we shouldn't be doing that, check your privilege at the door. Check that privilege. Because the fact of the matter is, until we deal with the inherent racism that is built into the DNA of this country, it's not going to change. We are fighting for our lives here. It's frustrating because nobody seems to understand what it's like to navigate this world in a black body. George Floyd, I would like to say that was the last straw, but it's been the last straw. Black lives matter. They do. Privilege exists. It does. And if you are a white viewer, or if you have white friends that are not speaking up, your silence is deafening. And by not saying something, you are saying something. We're frustrated. We're tired, exhausted, and we're tired of dying. We're tired of dying. That's all I got today, guys.